Welcome to Hmong Folklore After Dark. Please follow and subscribe to our channel to discover spine-chilling and mysterious tales from Hmong mountain villages. And now turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen closely to a story you'll never forget. No one really knew why that house was always left empty. It sat quietly at the base of a hill, its rusted tin roof and heavy wooden door always shut, though never locked. A massive tree grew right behind it, its roots crawling deep into the stone walls, like a hand gripping forgotten memories. When the family moved in, everything seemed peaceful at first. The air was fresh, the rice fields close, and the forest just behind the garden. But not long after, strange things began to happen. Every night, exactly when the wind brushed across the broken roof, a soft humming would echo, like a child's lullaby. They thought it was their daughter playing tricks, but she was always fast asleep. In the mornings, tiny handprints, wet and smudged, appeared across the dusty floor, even though it had been cleaned the night before. No one knew where they came from. A heavy feeling settled over the house, like something unseen was always watching. One day, while the mother glanced toward the kitchen door, she saw a small figure sitting near the stove, its back turned. She called out, but in the blink of an eye it vanished. One afternoon the father met an old man sitting near the village well. When he mentioned where they lived, the man said only, "That house doesn't want people." Then he stood and walked away without another word. When the father fell ill and stayed home, the figure became clearer. A little boy, no more than 6, his skin grey and cracked like dry wood, and his eyes hollow black pits. He didn't speak, he only appeared and disappeared, leaving the air thick with dread. The father called a shaman. The man brought incense, candles, eggs, and ritual items. He moved through the house silently, burning paper and chanting low. "The child doesn't know he's dead," he said. "He's lost." When he placed the offerings near the stove, the fire lit on its own. No one had touched it. "He's here," the shaman whispered. "The child. He wants peace." After that night, things grew quiet, but something still didn't feel right. Then one day, behind the house, they decided to dig beneath the strange roots of the massive tree. What they found weren't just 2 graves, but many. Adults, children, bones tangled in cloth, and old jewelry. At least 6 bodies, buried hastily in shallow earth. A second ritual was held, stronger and longer. Some claimed they saw shapes in the sky that night, like smoke rising in the form of people, then vanishing. The house felt lighter after that, warmer, but the family still moved away, not out of fear, but out of respect. Some spirits had waited too long to be remembered. But the story didn't end there. Years later, in another quiet town, a new family moved into a charming 2-story home near the woods. A fresh start, a place with charm and a big backyard. Their son loved his new room. He said it felt like a treehouse because it looked out into the forest. But the forest, they would later realize, hid more than just birds. At first, things were normal. Then, the blinds began opening on their own. Light tapping came at the windows during the night. One night, after an argument, the wife stayed upstairs alone. She felt uneasy, watched. She turned away from the window and stared at her phone. And just as she started to doze off, a voice echoed not in the room but inside her head. "I see you are alone." Her son began to complain too. He said he saw something outside his window. A tall, dark figure with eyes that burned, not glowed. He saw it again at the sliding glass door, just standing there, watching. They installed security cameras. One night, at 2:00 a.m., the feed glitched. A blurry shape crossed their porch. The next morning, they found large bare footprints in the frost, right under their bedroom window. A spiritual cousin explained, "These things don't come randomly. They feed on pain, anger, fear. They wait for a door to open, emotionally or spiritually, then they come in." They did everything, closed the curtains, locked windows, sprinkled salt by every entrance. But it wasn't enough. The child started drawing it, always the same, a tall black figure with a tilted head and fiery eyes. In one drawing, it was already inside the house. One night, the wife heard the tapping again. But this time it wasn't at the window, it was coming from inside. She followed the sound into the hallway, heart pounding, only to find the guest room door ajar. As she turned around, she saw it, the figure, at the end of the hallway. Silent, watching, head tilted. She blinked, and it vanished. They left that weekend, but the nightmares didn't stop. The son still dreams of the figure. And just last week the wife accidentally left a curtain slightly open. In the window's reflection, something appeared. It tilted its head and smiled. In the window's reflection, something appeared. It tilted its head and smiled. She screamed, but no sound came out. Her throat felt tight, her body frozen. For several heartbeats she couldn't move. Then, like snapping out of a trance, she threw the curtain shut and backed away, trembling. That night she barely slept. Every creak in the walls, every gust of wind outside made her flinch. She clutched her son close, whispering promises she wasn't sure she could keep. The next morning she burned the drawings. Every image her son had made of the figure, she fed them to the fireplace. The paper curled, blackened, and disappeared. But in the ashes, one small corner refused to burn. It was the figure's eyes. They stared back at her through the grey ash, still red, still burning. She swept them into a bag and buried them far from the house, whispering prayers she remembered from childhood. But her hands shook the whole time. Later that week, her husband came home early from work, pale and shaken. He had seen something at his office, reflected in the window while he worked late. The same figure, watching, not from outside but from inside the building. "It followed us," he said. "It's not bound to that house anymore." Desperate, they called the spiritual cousin again. This time she came in person. She walked through the house with eyes half closed, listening. She lit incense in each room and hummed under her breath. Finally, in the boy's room, she stopped. "It's here," she said softly. "But it doesn't want the house anymore. It wants him." The parents begged her to explain. She said the figure had been drawn to the boy, not because of weakness, but because he could see it. And once seen, it could not be unseen. That night she stayed to perform another ritual. Candles were lit, salt was poured in circles, and protective symbols were drawn on the walls with chalk and sacred oil. The boy sat in the center, eyes closed, while the woman chanted in an old dialect only she understood. At first, nothing happened. Then the temperature dropped. All the candles flickered at once, and from the corner of the room the shadows deepened. until something began to form. A figure, tall, thin, its head tilted, burning eyes locked on the boy. The woman shouted in a language that cracked the air like thunder. The creature screamed, no, not out loud. The scream was inside their heads, vibrating in their bones. The chalk symbols glowed. The figure lunged, but it could not cross the salt. The woman grabbed a talisman from her pouch, a small figure made of ash wood and black thread, and threw it into the flame. As it burned, the figure shrieked louder, then began to unravel like smoke in reverse, sucked back into the shadows it came from. The lights returned to normal. The air warmed. The house fell silent again. The woman turned to the boy. He is safe, for now, but spirits like this never vanish forever. They wait, they watch, they return if you let them. The next day they moved again, far away, to a small apartment in the city. Nothing fancy, but bright, simple, clean. But trauma doesn't pack up so easily. The boy grew quieter. He stopped drawing. The parents installed cameras, nightlights, prayer scrolls. They did everything they could think of, and for a while things seemed better. Until one night, months later, the mother woke up at 3:03 a.m. She wasn't sure why. There was no sound, no light, nothing unusual, except for the open closet door across the room. She always closed it before bed, always. She got up, heart thudding, and slowly walked toward it. As she reached out to push the door shut, she felt something warm against her leg. Her son, standing silently behind her. He whispered, "Don't close it. He's in there." She froze. Tears stung her eyes. And then she saw it, reflected in the glass of the bedroom window, a face behind the clothes, watching, head tilted. She slammed the door shut and held her son tight. They never opened that closet again, not even to move out. And to this day, wherever they go, they always check every window twice. They never sleep with the curtains open. And they never, ever ignore the feeling of being watched. Because sometimes, even when you think it's gone, it's still there, waiting. You've just heard another true tale from Hmong Folklore After Dark. If you felt the chill, don't forget to follow, like, and share. We'll be waiting in the shadows.